Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang with Morsels of a Thought, number 1307. 1307. Let me see. Today we're on Words and Wisdom Wednesday, and today we're doing a story from Wickedly Smart Women, Trusting Intuition, Taking Action, Transforming Worlds by Angel B. Hartwell. She wrote to me the other day, and we uh, Linda Sunshine West and I also wrote to each other that same day. Stacey Magovern went from outside salesperson to running a multi-million-dollar company overnight. The wife of a police officer, Stacey's passion for helping families of law enforcement became her business. She launched her company, Point Blank Safety Services, in 2012 with no way of knowing today her company would be one of the most successful traffic safety and security companies in Texas. She used her success to pay it forward by founding a nonprofit, Blue Family Fund, that provides scholarships for first responder dependents and financial aid to families of injured or fallen law enforcement officers. Stacey is not just the CEO and founder of these businesses, she is also a best-selling author, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker. Stacey has been very blessed in her business, and because of that, she and her husband started a nonprofit called Blue Family Fund Incorporated. They provide scholarships and financial assistance to families of first responders. Please check them out and donate if you can at bluefamilyfund, all one word, .org. Learn more about Point Blank Safety at www.pointblanksafety.com. Okay, and here we go into her story. I'm going to read you half of it. It's long, a little long, not that long, but I want to make our lives as succinct as possible because all we're trying to do is inspire you to have a great day, to know and learn the things that we need to do, which is wisdom, and then to go out and do them, which is virtue. So we're making the world a place full of more virtue. That's my point. Chapter 15, From Outside Sales to Multi-Million-Dollar Company Owner, by Stacey Magovern. My name is Stacey Magovern, a born and raised Texas girl. As the daughter of Lynn Rushing, Lin Rushing, I like to say I was born an entrepreneur. My mother opened her first retail store when I was just 5 months old. While she worked hard meeting and dressing the big country's women, I grew up in the back room, eventually wrapping gifts for customers and cleaning out dressing rooms. In my family, getting a college degree was not an option. It was a mandate. After graduating from Cooper High School, I left Abilene for a few years to achieve my Bachelor of Arts in Communications from the National University in California. After a short time, I realized California was no place for this Texas girl and returned to Abilene. Immediately, I went to work for my mother, who had grown her business to 5 retail stores. I worked the floor, selling everything from ski wear and cosmetics to Boy Scout uniforms and evening wear. I also accompanied my mother on every trip to the Dallas Apparel Mart. My mother was tough. She had high expectations, and every employee had to justify their salary with meeting or exceeding her sales goals. I always knew I wanted to own my own business one day. The funny part is I never considered leaving Abilene. When a lingerie store went up for sale just down the street from my mother's shopping center, I had to have it. At the time, a lot of people in my small town thought my mother bought it for me, but nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, she even refused to co-sign on a loan. Luckily, I hadn't screwed up my credit in college like many of her friends, so I was able to get an SBA loan for a portion of the purchase price, and then I negotiated a final payment for the business 6 months after purchase. This was my first real experience in business negotiations and really thinking outside the box to make something happen. This was impressive for a 23-year-old, and I often think back on this in my business today. Now, 23 years old. I recall I'm going to pause in the middle of this paragraph just to say that I was the daughter of retail owners, and we had an earthquake in the San Francisco Bay Area on October 17th. It was a Tuesday, 1989. And I've told this story before on my lives, but my point today is that I was only 23 and I was tasked with making the critical decisions of 6 gasoline stations. And we had to close the station and man the pumps because since we had turned into 24-hour businesses, we had no padlocks on the pumps anymore. So we had to man the pumps. Otherwise, people would have stolen gasoline. So anyway, that was what I told them to do. And later on, I eventually found out that the manager of the office that worked right under my mother, she had written in her notes, Mary said this, Mary said that, Mary said this, Mary said that. Mary decided blah, blah, blah. I was like, wow, I didn't know I was the critical point in that juncture. Anyway, the reason was that my parents were on vacation on a cruise ship, and they waited 2 hours for a telephone to call home because everybody from the Bay Area was lining up to use the phone to call home. Anyway, so this was impressive. She just negotiated a final payment after 6 months after purchasing this business. This was impressive for a 23-year-old, and I often think back on this. This is Stacey Magovern. This was impressive for a 23-year-old, and I often think back on this in my business today. I learned a lot in my lingerie business, especially from failure. Yes, that business totally failed. There were many reasons for the failure, and the biggest reason was that at the same time, a national chain lingerie store began opening in every shopping mall across America, Abilene included. They could sell lingerie for the same price I could buy it. After closing my retail store, I spent the next 15 years in outside sales in the corporate world. The realization that I could go get sales and not sit back in a store and wait for people to come to me was life-changing. I was extremely successful in outside sales, consistently winning awards, trips, and eventually managing my own sales team. However, that yearning to own my own business never went away. Growing someone else's dream was never my end goal. I knew eventually I would find my next big adventure. I just didn't know when or where. In 2005, I met and married the love of my life, Michael. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. In 2005, I should keep water nearby from now on. Okay, hold on 1 second while I grab some H2O to save my life. Oh my God. Sorry. Right. Sorry. Oh, goodness gracious. Wow. Stacey Magovern? Sorry about this. Anyway. Let me put that down and continue. She met the love of her life in 2005. In 2005, I met and married the love of my life, Michael Magovern, a police officer. We moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. He continued to work as a police officer, and I got another outside sales position. During this time as a police wife, I learned a lot about police officers. These amazing people who put their lives on the line every day in most departments are paid very little. They rely on off duty work to make ends meet. I watched my husband try to supplement our income with off duty work here and there with no real guarantee of work and very random opportunities. That's when my next big idea came to me. I wanted to start a management company for police and off duty work. How great would it be if each officer could schedule their off duty work and know exactly how much additional income they would have each month? It made perfect sense to me. Doesn't it? My husband had the police contacts, and with my sales experience, I could get the clients. I spent the next 2 years working on my idea while maintaining a full time job, raising two boys, and running a household. I sacrificed every minute of free time working on this business idea. I started by forming my LLC, Safety Services. Point Blank Safety Services. I began reaching out to highway construction companies because I knew they use off duty police for their projects. This became my why. Capital W, capital H, capital Y. I knew there had to be a better way to connect police with work and clients with police officers. Those 2 years were hard, and many times I thought about giving up. But I am thankful now for the time I spent trying to create a business because I now respect my business and how hard I worked to get there. I truly believe if I would have had this success in my 20s, I wouldn't appreciate it as much as I do. Life is all about timing. There are a lot of reasons I've learned along the way. Lessons. Goodness gracious, my glasses all fogged up or something. There are a lot of lessons I've learned along the way. Trusting my intuition is one of them. In addition to that, I'd like to share with you some of the things I discovered along this journey to help me reach the success I have today. Find a problem in your industry and solve it. That's her next subtitle. My number one strategy for a business is that you must find a problem in your industry and solve it. My business does this. I learned quickly that construction companies were typically using a full-time person just to hire, schedule, and pay officers for their projects. My company could come in and take that over. One point of contact and one invoice for everything. This allowed the construction companies to free up that full-time position for something revenue generating. I could see the light bulbs going off in my head as I presented my services to potential clients. This is key to creating a business that is scalable. This is when my life changed. Okay, so we're going to pause here. We'll come back to this on next Friday. This Wednesday, Words and Wisdom, and smart women, wickedly smart women. Sorry, I had to cough. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I will talk to you later. See you tomorrow. Old Kinderheck. Bye bye.